Oh, Harrison just texted me and said that I guess that podcast that he dropped with Tim Pool. Oh, all right, we're gonna go live right now.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Vena Show. Thank you for tuning in. I've got a really important, really exciting episode today to do. We're going to show a documentary that is going to hopefully open up a lot of people's eyes. But before I get into that, as I always do, I always promote one book always is the Patriot Barbie's book, Alphabet Prayers for Toddlers. If you've got a child learning their alphabets, this is a great book to get your kids on. You can go to her website. I think it's Pretty Little Patriot, and she's got all of her stuff. And scroll down and look for her book. The new books that I want to recommend is when I did have my son. He was really into Marvel's characters, Spider-Man, Superman, those type of stuff, and he was starting to get into comic books. So the other day I was looking on my Instagram, and this book popped up from U.S. Comics. And they have comic books about the history of the Declaration of Independence. The art is absolutely amazing. So if you've got a kid that is really into comic books and you also want to teach them stuff on the U.S. history, go over to U.S. Comics and scroll down and pick yourself up at least one of these comics. I picked up 8 because I want to show them off. I'm going to do a full video on my Instagram, but this one is specifically on the Declaration of Independence. This one is on the Boston Tea Party. I have one on Benjamin Franklin. And then I have the other one is on the Revolutionary War. The illustration and the art in here is absolutely amazing. So if your kids are into comic books and you want them to learn about a cool way to learn about U.S. history, please go over to U.S. Comics. I'll get that in the description, and pick yourself up a copy. Check it out and get your kids interested back into U.S. history. The other thing that I want to talk about is this Friday we're going to do a live and talk about Jeff Younger's case. Jeff Younger has got a case coming up here on August 2nd and August 8th. August 2nd is a case about basically they're trying to put Jeff Younger in jail for contempt of courts. And then he's got a case on the 8th, and I believe that one's going to rule on whether the judge or the state of California can start his 12-year-old son on puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and possible surgery. So we're going to do a special episode to get more attention on Jeff Younger's case because that little boy and Jeff need all the attention that they can get. So with that being said, I would like to welcome Steve Sorensen, the filmmaker of Leaving Amy, and what the documentary is based off is Matt Rey and Judith, who the documentary is based off. Please, everybody, welcome Steve, Matt, and Judith, please. Hello, guys. How are ya?
Hey. Thank you so much for having us. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, and Steve for coming on. I know I had Steve initially come on, and then he surprised me with Matt and Judith on, and that was absolutely amazing. So it's going to make this episode a lot more special and a lot more heartfelt to have everybody on, and maybe we can do another one, and we can get Seek on everybody on here and do that too. So. Let's get into. I'm going to show the trailer for everybody to watch, and then we can get into the trailer. We can get into the documentary and a whole host of other stuff. So, Christian, if you could play the trailer, please.
So, I first experienced gender dysphoria around age 5. Mum, Dad, I think something's wrong with me. So I had my top surgery. It ended up being one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. I'd seen all of these pictures of these trans men with the perfect top surgery. They are selling this in a romanticized way. It was sold like that to me. They told me that transitioning would be the cure to my problems. Everything I've been feeling would go away, but what they didn't tell me was that I'd actually suffer more.
My name is Nicole Saratek. I'm the executive director and founder of American Frontline Nurses. Once you get the surgery, it's not done. Something typically goes wrong because these surgeries are experimental.
I have permanent nerve damage.
I had to watch Matt be bedbound for months.
I would wake up in pools of blood.
Have infections.
My head has constantly felt like it's in a vice.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take care of the person that I loved.
I have seizure-like spasms all the time. I have a tic that comes and goes. The ticking got really bad at one point, to the point I was slapping myself around the face in front of people.
The medical industry sells this lie, and then they can't fix it.
It happened to one of my older boys. I was essentially tricked.
It's about stealing a generation of children.
The doctors will tell people, well, would you rather have, a dead daughter or an alive son?
Incredibly evil.
And these people that are pushing this agenda, they know it. To me, they're predators.
I'm stuck looking like this for the rest of my life. You can take hormones, you can have surgery and look a certain way, but it doesn't change who you are.
They don't care how many kids die. They don't care how many kids commit suicide.
It never goes away. It just gets worse because you do all these changes and you can't reach that goal. You can't reach it. You will never reach it because you are not that gender. They lied to me. They lied to my face. I now know that all of it could have been avoided if I'd have been told the truth.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
And I don't care if I come across as a bitch.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's
crazy.
And we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
If I can save just one child from this, then I would die happy. It was torture. I was getting really overwhelmed, and I called out and I said, Jesus. And all of a sudden, I just felt this overwhelming wash over me of peace that I have never felt in my life. Say what you wanna say, but I won't play good games. Is this the one you wanted? And when I walk away, it'll never be the same. This is the one you wanted now. This is the one you wanted now. I actually had a really hard phone call with my mom, and I told her that I was sorry for taking her little girl away, because that's what I did.
Wow, what a powerful trailer. What a powerful trailer, guys. Very, very good.
And I mean, it's all, mostly Steve. You know, he's a genius. So.
He is, yeah.
Yeah. So I think my first question is going to be for Steve. Steve, what made you want to take on a film like this? Was there something in your past, or was it just something that you felt that needed to be talked about? What was it about taking on a film like this?
Well, geez, so it all started when we first met. Actually, what's kind of cool is I met you and Matt and Jude all at the same time at America Fest last year. And when I met them, it was just I was like, oh, who are you guys? Tell me a little bit about you. And immediately I just kind of got sucked into their story. But as they were talking to me about it, I could see, it was actually really hard for Matt he probably got asked to tell a story like 100 times that weekend and whatnot. So, but I saw it was actually difficult for both of them, both for Jude and for Matt, to kind of get through and go over that. So I actually was like, guys, you know what, let's meet up again and let's film this. And even if we just chop it up and give it to you guys so you can post and whatnot, you won't have to, I don't know, maybe you won't have to repeat this and go and relive all of this every single time. And so we met up later and we sat down. I went to their hometown and we found a cool cafe to film in. And just as Matt and Jude both dived into their story, it was, I don't know, there was something kind of just the energy was there. There was a spiritual nature to it. And to be honest, I didn't even know this was that big of an issue out there until, we started working on it. We realized that it should be a film. And all of a sudden I'm seeing it, word gets out that we're doing it. And I'm just seeing comments after comments of parents of kids saying like, my daughter's in the same situation. My son's in the same situation. So, that's really kind of how it got started, was just meeting rad people like all you guys at America Fest last year. So
yeah. And it's funny you bring what you just said up, is that I didn't realize, I guess, how bad this topic was until I went to GenSpec in Colorado, and to hear and meet other parents that were dealing with this type of stuff was, I wouldn't say reassuring, but it definitely made me feel that I was not alone in this whole situation. Because as we all, this is whether you're in the position or you're an outsider or a parent going through this. It's a very hard situation and a very hard topic to deal with. And it was nice to be able to go there and listen to Gen Spec talk about how they treat, I guess, gender dysphoria. I'm still learning, and Matt and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in any of these statements, but it was nice to see that Gen Spec wasn't directly kind of focusing on medications and surgeries, that they wanted to treat it in the middle. And I've always said that with my son. They never treated my son in the middle. They always went from A to Z with my son. And they never talked about, like I always say whenever I talk, like doctors, if you got cancer, the doctors are going to treat you A, B, C, and D. And it doesn't look like within like Matt's case, or we got Chloe or Laura, they never treated in the mid. They never tried to figure it out. They just went to the most extreme part of it. And I still cannot understand that. I still can't. Matt, what was it about Steve that made you want to trust him to film your story? Because I know that's got to take a lot of guts to, one, be really, really open with somebody that you just met to take on your story. What was it about Matt that you thought he was going to do a hell of a job with this?
Well, I just knew straight away, really. It was crazy. So, Steve was at America Fest with the booth for Beneath Sheep's Clothing, and Jude and I were at the event because we were going around networking for Gays Against Groomers and taking on interviews there. And we went to the Beneath Sheep's Clothing booth because one of our members, Robert, is in the film. So we went over and met Steve, and he was like, wow, I love your organization. I love the work you do for children. You guys are amazing. He's like, tell me about you. And so he just had this naturally wonderful aura around him, you know? And I just felt like, I have not met this guy before, but I feel like I can talk to him about this. And I could just tell that he really cared, like, immediately. And after seeing the trailer for Beneath Sheep's Clothing and previews from it, I could tell that he was incredible about what he does. And so we just exchanged numbers. And then, like he said, we met up at that cafe. And
his family.
He brought his family, and his family are wonderful. He's got a lovely wife, and he's got 2 beautiful boys. Incredible family they are. And we just knew from that moment that what we're about to create is going to be something really special.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that just in that few minutes of that trailer, that it's going to be a story that needs to be told. And like I said off camera with you guys, I don't think that this story or this topic is getting pushed out strong enough. I truly don't think that enough big talking heads are talking about this, because in my opinion, we're going to be losing a whole generation of children to this. And to me, that's scary. That's really scary to think about, that we're losing our kids left and right, and parents are losing their children left and right. I mean, we see what's going on here in California. They're completely stripping parental rights away from parents when it comes to this, gender stuff. What was that? I've got a whole host of questions. Matt, in the documentary, you said at 5. What was it at 5 years old that made you think that you were, I guess, not a girl, and you were something else?
So it was really strange, really, because obviously as a kid, I didn't know the term gender dysphoria. Mm-hmm. Okay. But as an adult, I know it was there because my mom took me clothes shopping, and she took me over to the little girl section. And I remember just standing there thinking, what is she doing? And I was looking over at the boys like, I should be over there. Like, it just felt so wrong for me to be put in girls' clothing. But my situation's kind of unique. I mean, my mum was told throughout her entire pregnancy that she was going to be having a boy, to the point where she picked out my name. I was going to be called Max. And when I came out female, even the nurses were shocked. So it's kind of strange that age 5, I then was already having these thoughts. And then fast forward to being an adult, and after having the gender dysphoria all my life and finally deciding to go down the path, right before they put me on hormones, they took my blood to see if I could handle it. And it turned out I had 10 times more testosterone in my body than a female should have. So it's very interesting. And they said that I technically could fit in the intersex bracket. However, I wasn't tested for it properly. They're meant to do 3 different tests, and they only gave me 2. So I will never know. But all I know is there were weird circumstances with me, like from the get-go.
Right.
There might be some time in the future when you can finish getting tested, but it's just, and you know, we're going to have Pam in the documentary to also talk about some of the deeper issues. The truthful therapist of why this could happen even that early. Sometimes it has to do with the parents. Sometimes it has to do with experiences that a child might not remember that gets kind of logged away subconsciously. And, you know, sometimes even later in life, like it's almost like internalized homophobia like combines into that, where you're just like, you know, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in the 90s, it was still taboo to even be gay, you know, and I remember, for example, being in school and this girl had come out as bisexual and another girl came out as a lesbian, and they started dating, and they were bullied relentlessly. So I'm sure you can imagine that not only dealing with that, but also thinking you were in the wrong body was something that just, you know, I hid myself away in my youth. I got to a point through my teenage years where it started to eat at me so much that I would just hide away from the world. I would stop seeing my friends, and I was online a crazy amount. And that's when, you know, the romanticizing began, because I wanted to find out why I was feeling like I was. And then I would come across these trans men on YouTube who'd be saying stuff like, here's my voice 3 months on T, here's my voice 6 months, here's my voice 1 year, and showing these glorified top surgeries. And there was me thinking, this is it, this is what I need, this is what I need. But you don't see the other side. You don't see the risk, you know. You never see a trans person say, oh, my surgery went really, really, really bad. Right. You know, the detransition is you do now, but back then you didn't. It was just shown as, hey, you're miserable because you're in the wrong body. You should do this, and then you're never going to suffer again. And it's like, even though I felt like I did, and I always have, like I'm always going to have gender dysphoria, I'm always going to feel more comfortable presenting in a male way, I didn't ask to have medical malpractice. I didn't ask to have the surgery botched. I didn't ask to be overprescribed hormones and now have the tick that comes and goes in seizures. You know what I mean? So even if you're somebody who really wants this and you haven't been indoctrinated, for example, like back then the indoctrination wasn't really happening. That was only when I was looking for it as a teenager, and I was searching these things. Now it's in your face whether you want it or not. But even if you're someone who wants this, it could still go horribly wrong. So
later in life,
when you're I mean, I was nearly 8 years down the line when I got sick from this. So think what it's doing to these poor children who, 1, can't give informed consent, 2, their bodies and their brains aren't developed yet. This is barbaric. It's the modern day lobotomy, and anyone pushing this deserves to be locked up with the key thrown away.
Yeah. And when you talk about this stuff, it's difficult for me to listen to this stuff because of where my son's at. You know, because I know that this is going to be the next step for my son as long as this continues down the road that it's going. So as informed as I need to be about this stuff, it's still a very difficult, very, very difficult for me to listen to.
I can imagine, but I just want to say to you, like, it's very admirable that you are diving into it, though, you know, like, because it
some people could ignore it, you know. They
a lot of people
stick their head in the sand.
Yeah, so you're amazing for that.
Thank you. How old were you when let's go back, did the doctors place fear in your parents' minds? Like I think you said in the documentary that if you don't affirm, you're gonna have would you rather have a dead daughter than a live son or something like that? Did they? Did they place that on your parents?
Here's the thing: the therapy has changed now. Back in the day, right? And it's not even that long ago. Like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, it's changed so rapidly. But back then, you were given extensive therapy about this. Like they wouldn't even medicate you hormones unless they knew for sure that, you know, this was probably the best course of action for you. These days, as Nurse Nicole said, and Pamela will talk about in the documentary, The Truthful Therapist, is that the therapists are now being paid to immediately affirm. So if someone turns up, even if it's a kid, okay, and they say, hey, I think I'm in the wrong body, that will be a, yes, you are, sign them off. That is how bad it's gotten.
Yeah.
But back when I...
to get like a year plus.
Yeah. So when I went down the path, first of all, I transitioned in England to begin with, under the Tavistock, which came under fire recently for being dangerous for children with puberty blockers. But before that even started, I had to go to my general practitioner. I had to tell them how I felt. I then got put on a referral list to Tavistock because that is the only clinic in the UK. That wait, because it was the only clinic, was around 8 months to a year. Then you go to your first appointment in London at the Tavistock, and then you have 2 appointments, which is extensive therapy. Then you go for an appointment to check your blood test. There's big gaps in between these appointments, of course, because the waiting list, there was, because the waiting list was so long. Once you get cleared for bloods, then you had to live as your preferred gender for a year on the hormones before anything else. So it was a lot slower. These days, it's like a Disney fast pass at a theme park. You know, it's, oh, you're trans? Here, have this, have this, have this. They're giving it out like candy. There's no testing anymore. It's just, oh, you're trans? Here you go.
Right.
That's barbaric.
It really is barbaric. Steve, how long did you guys film for? And did you learn anything from hearing Matt's story in the process? Anything that opened your eyes to listening to Matt's story? Oh, hi, Kitty. And bringing did you learn anything from Matt's story?
I learned everything from Matt's story. Let's put it that way. So this is completely unfamiliar territory to me. Just meeting Matt and Jude they were just both so impressive. Like, as you can tell, it's basically like working with models, first of all. So that makes it really easy because they can just sit in front of the camera and we can just roll. But also their willingness to open up and to, Matt's always impressed me because he takes accountability for all of these things, which is something so rare and so unique. We really have an opportunity with this film to not just to share the story, but to help people understand the perspective from Matt and even from Jude's perspective. What's really cool and unique about this film too is, so we've got Matt's story, which is just mind blowing, and the way that what he can teach us as a people, as Christians, as non-believers, as just Americans, where we can understand. You have to understand the problem if you want to even attempt to try to fix the problem. And I think that's what we can do with this film a lot. And what's really cool too is Jude is a phenomenal writer. And so as soon as I learned that, we were like, okay, Jude, she knows this topic better than anybody. I mean, she's been with Matt. Not only has she been there through this whole thing with him, but she's dived into the research. And that's what I'm really excited for about this film, is we've got Matt's story, plus we have all this historical research. And I'll let Jude talk about that stuff, but it's going to be presented in a way that nothing has been done like this before.
Yeah. And I can see that in the trailer. You know, I can definitely see that, and I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing. I'm hoping it opens up not only parents and other people's eyes, but I'm hoping that it opens up, politicians' eyes. I'm hoping that it opens up doctors' eyes. I'm hoping it opens pediatricians' eyes that are treating these kids, and I'm hoping that it opens up, these therapists who are treating these kids, instead of, like I said, instead of treating it A to Z, treat it A, B, and C all the way down the middle, until, if that's the last resort, then that's the last resort. But I'm hoping that that's what this film does, is to open people's eyes, because it's really scary out there right now for everybody involved. Jude, so I guess my question to you, you've been with Matt, how long have you and Matt been together?
since about the end of 2020, so about 4 years now. And we're coming up on 4.
And what has it been like for you seeing Matt go through these things?
Oh, well, I mean, in a nutshell, awful.
Yeah.
But, you know, and unfortunately, when I look back, I realize at this point, I've spent more of our relationship worrying about Matt's health and whether or not Matt will even see the future than not worrying about it, which is just hard to think about. But, you know, when we first met, I really didn't know that much about trans people, about what they went through. I considered them, I mean, the term I'm familiar with is transsexual, which is someone who essentially alters their appearance to pass as the opposite sex and live in that space, you know, but they will still have to tell people like, hey, I was born a man, or hey, I was born a woman, because that's what Matt did for me. We weren't talking very long. And then Matt was like, by the way, I'm trans. And I was like, cool, whatever, you know.
Right.
It was never a problem for me because we connected on such a spiritual level that I was like, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you know, like I just don't. So we ended up getting together across 5,000 miles during the pandemic. So, which sounds like a miracle in itself. I don't know how we pulled it off. I really don't. So, and then we got invited to Gays Against Groomers, which exploded. And we ended up at the AmFest in the first 6 months of the organization. And it was huge. It was a very important topic to people. That's when I knew that this was going to be a big deal. I mean, just the work that we were doing. But, you know, where things really took a turn, it wasn't just having to watch. First of all, Matt got the top surgery really early in our relationship. It was probably in like the first month or so. And so we were still like doing long distance. And so that's why I had to watch Matt's recovery through the phone. And it was just gut wrenching because I literally couldn't just be like, oh, I'll be right over. I can help you. Matt was in England. I was in Arizona. I was like, right. I just had to stay on the phone and watch. So then once we got here and, you know, did everything we needed to do to make sure Matt could stay here, Matt was like, well, I have to get on, you know, new testosterone now that I'm here, because that's what you do if you're trans. You're a permanent patient for life. That's just the nature of it. Your health you're going to be your number one concern for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a serious thing. So we went looking for something local. I found this clinic because, you know, I've had kind of like a rocky financial situation. We both had to restart our lives multiple times. Matt came here with a suitcase. I had just been through a rough time and had to, like, you know, move back in with my mom, and we're starting from scratch. So I was like, okay, well, let me just find a clinic. So this doctor basically started Googling stuff in front of us and asking Matt a bunch of questions about doses and brands and things like that. I was like, I didn't really think about the fact that she did not know what she was doing.
Jeez.
And so, you know, a couple of weeks into this dose, Matt started feeling really off and was like, you know, I'm supposed to feel better after this, and I don't.
Right.
Something's wrong. And so, like, you know, after a few months, we just called it. We were like, let's just stop and figure this out, because Matt was waking up with chest pains, feeling tired, getting these headaches. It was getting really alarming. And then the spasms and the tics and the basically seizures started, but I didn't know what they were at first. And it was hard to put the pieces together because you don't expect this to happen.
Correct.
So it was terrifying for me. I mean, I felt completely helpless, and I still do, because Matt's still having this tic, and I just have to sit there and watch it happen and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
You know, like, hope it doesn't get worse. Hope we don't have to rush to the hospital. But like for the last half of last year, when we were trying to correct Matt's health and we saw a hormone specialist and we were making adjustments in all areas of our life, it got worse before it got better. And that was just horrific. I mean, I just dropped everything else in my life to try and focus on taking care of Matt. And it was really hard on me. We both got depressed. I was having panic attacks. I had to take Matt to the hospital at one point because I was seeing, like, I grew up with someone who had epilepsy, right? Like I recognized the signs, and I was seeing epileptic symptoms in Matt. And it was so confusing. You know, all of it is so confusing. So we ran down the hospital one day and they didn't give us any answers. The MRI was normal. They gave us a low dose of lorazepam and we're like, hey, this is an opioid, so don't use it very much. I was like, all right. And I've just had to basically do things kind of naturally at home. You know, I'm into home remedies and natural medicine. That's how I grew up, was like you do everything you can at home before you go to a doctor or you go to the hospital. So I've just been in caregiver mode, you know, ever since, really, just checking up on Matt and being like, how are you today? Better, worse, and just observing, see what helps, what doesn't. You know, we've had to adjust our diet. We've had to adjust like the things we use in our life, like products, anything with like hormones or endocrine disruptors, like fragrances and stuff. You have to get that out. It's just required a lot of trial and error, and that's been very frustrating, sometimes disheartening, you know. And you know, on top of that, we have this whole immigration situation happening with Matt trying to file, and USCIS messed up our case. It took 3 years to get our first petition to even get approved, and then they messed up our second form. So now, and then they just told us to refile, which is paying the fees all over again, doing it all over again.
Yeah,
and it's all just been compounding, you know. And I had some a death in the family in June, and it's just, yeah, I don't really know how to explain where I'm at. I've just kind of been on the edge of losing my mind for like a year and a half.
Well, I just want to say, I want to compliment you for being a good partner and helping him out, because I can't imagine having to deal with all that kind of stuff. And it's all been, in my opinion, it's all been kind of forced upon you, Matt, and they have not given you the right answers or the right, you know, treatment to help you out. And you know, we blame, the doctors and physicians are supposed to be here to help us, and in cases like yours, they're not helping at all. It seems like they're only making things worse, right?
In fact, what's crazy about it is Nicole Siratek really wanted to help. And so she reached out to 30 Tourette's clinics on this side of the country. They all refused to see me because they said hormones and trans surgeries don't do that, even though if you go on the trans subreddit, there are hundreds and hundreds of posts saying, has anyone else got tics now since taking hormones? So they don't want to take any accountability. So this is the thing, right? If you have anything else, they will see you. But if it's anything to do with gender affirming care,
well, the thing is,
they just leave you.
There is no medical billing code for this.
Yes.
So they can't get paid for it. They can't bill your insurance, so that they physically can't do it. So they just don't want to.
And now, is that strictly in Arizona, or is that through all 50 states when it comes to this?
That's the medical system in general. Yeah. We had Nicole check that for the documentary. Yeah. As of now, there is no medical billing code for detransitioners who need.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Or people who get sick.
Or people who get sick, rebalancing.
Not just the transition.
Yeah.
So there's only gender affirming care for the transition part, but not for the detransition part.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah, it's like if you get sick or someone detransitioned, it's like they want to pretend you don't exist so they can keep their false image of this is all rainbows, this is butterflies, right. Nothing could ever go wrong. It ruins their illusion if somebody gets sick.
Right. Yeah, I hear that. That seems to be the going consensus. Like when I talk to you or Chloe or Laura, they say that once you did the procedure and then you decided, you know what, I think I made a mistake, they just completely wash their hands of you and they want nothing to do with you guys, which is absolutely, because I mean, I sat down with Chloe for 2 hours at AmFest, and she's saying that she still has bandages, she's still leaking, and she can't find a physician or a doctor to help her. And I think that's.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's horrible.
Some of them even get irritated or like angry about it.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I posted my medical form, it shows it a bit in the trailer, but the one confirming that I've got seizures and these tics from this overprescription. When I posted this, a video of me having a seizure, because it got to a point where I was like, some people need to see stuff. And one day I was seizing really bad. And I was like, Jude, people need to see what this is doing. And I actually had a so-called gender affirming doctor from California comment going, trans hormones don't do this. And I was like, what's this then? And I posted my actual doctor's note confirming it was that. And then he just ghosted. He wouldn't respond after that. They gaslight you. It's terrible.
Oh my God. That pisses me off so bad. Pisses me off so freaking bad. You know, just to give you guys probably already know, but I still have not talked to the gender clinic doctor at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. He has still not talked to me. No phone calls. Has not talked to me at all. I've gone down there numerous of times, and they threatened to, hit me with a trespassing, and all I'm doing is trying to figure out what's going on with my son, what they've done to my son, and everything like that. So, what is your guys's, this is questions for all, what is your ultimate goal for this film? What is the goal for the film? Just in general.
Should I take this one?
I can answer it too.
Yeah.
Steve,
Steve, you take it.
Yeah, we'll go around the horn.
Yeah.
Mine is very simple. Kind of like over the last few minutes, listening to that, lack of accountability. They did all this shit to Matt, and then they run away from it. They literally run away from it. Alexis and I, my wife, we love to punch back, pure and simple. I mean, when it comes down to it, the most effective way we can do this is to do it through media with a movie and a documentary, and make it as big as possible so we can literally, slap them in the face and wake them up. Be like, you guys can't do this to people.
Yeah, people learn a lot from getting throat punched. Away with it. Right.
Yeah, I can't. I have zero tolerance for any sort of bullies and whatnot. When people mistreat people, it just irks me to a point where it's like, all right, let's hit them where it hurts. Let's embarrass them. Let's expose what they are doing. And so that's why that's our goal. That's my goal, is to expose these bullies and these ridiculous people out there for what they're doing.
And you've got two good films.
It gets me amped up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You've got two good films out there, Beneath Sheep's Clothing and Now Leaving Amy. And I think both of those films tie into each other. Both those films tie into each other. So.
Yeah.
You go.
So I would say that we want this film to be a bridge. Because right now there are a few, films that kind of on this topic, but they're made by completely from a conservative angle, whereas we want this to be completely non-partisan, so even people on the left will watch it and be like, whoa, we're being lied to about this. This isn't empowering kids at all. This is dangerous for them. We also want, like Steve said earlier, we want Christians to also watch it and be like, oh, we need to understand these people more. You know what I mean? We want this film to bring people who wouldn't usually speak to each other together. We want this to be a great resource for parents. We want this to be great for the kids, because also these other documentaries right now, they kind of go from a complete, this is completely, wrong in general. If you're trans, there's something wrong with you. If a kid sees that, they're going to feel awful if they've got gender dysphoria. Do you know what I mean? We want this to be a film where the kid can be like, okay, I have gender dysphoria, but if I feel this way when I'm older, I can make my own choice. But right now I'm young. I should wait. This could be really dangerous, and my mind's not developed. We don't want kids to see this film and think they're a monster and they're disgusting. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And we also want, people who don't understand the topic in general to have their eyes opened. So we want it to be a film for absolutely everyone, and we want to release a censored version as well that we could actually hand out around schools to educate the students on this matter. So we want the uncut version that will be in the theaters, with the odd swear words in it and things, but we also want to release it in a way where kids can watch it in school and learn something. So this is a movie for the people.
That's awesome. And you hit the nail on the head. It's not a left or a right issue at all.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't, because they're not coming after left kids. They're not coming after right kids. They're coming after everyone's kids, in my opinion, when it comes to some of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I really hope that happens. I really do. And I think politicians need to watch this film. You know,
for sure.
I really think if you're going to get elected, or if someone's going to be endorsed, this is one of the films that need to be watched, you know, before you get an endorsement, before you get a vote or anything like that, because that's another problem that I have is no politicians are talking about this. None. It's almost like they're scared to talk about gender affirming care, or what's going, the side effects of surgeries and medications, because no one talks about that kind of stuff, you know. And I think it's key that this story gets told and millions of people end up watching this film. Another question. What are your thoughts? I know England just banned, was it England? Yeah, England just banned gender affirming care and the medication and surgeries. Is that what just happened recently?
That's your country.
Okay, yeah, they did. It was I believe it was yesterday, actually.
Okay.
Mostly for minors, right?
Well, yeah, it's for minors. They've banned puberty blockers. They've kept a hold on puberty blockers, which is a, you know, it's not a complete win, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yes. Yeah, in the United States, we've got 26 states, 27 states that have just banned it, which is absolutely amazing. I wish all 50 states got on board with that. But hopefully, slowly but surely, you know, I'll take 27 over 0. You know,
it's a move. You know,
that's our goal with Gays Against Groomers as well. Is I mean, when Gays Against Groomers started, that number was a lot lower, and
testified in quite a few of those states.
Our members have testified across many of those states to help get that done.
Yeah, and I was just on the Dark Side of the Rainbow podcast, I think, like 3 weeks ago. So yeah. So that was a very, very easygoing, very easy conversation. I hope he doesn't listen, but I can't remember his name. But
Robert.
Yes, thank you.
Glass.
Yeah. So we might go over the hour, but I've got so many other questions. So Matt, you said in the documentary, let me find that question here. This is something that I have not done, and I commend you a lot for doing this. You said that once you gave yourself up to Jesus, you felt this peace from within. Can you talk? Because I have not gotten to that point yet. And when you said that in the trailer, I thought that was pretty damn amazing. Could you touch a little bit on that?
Of course. So I was in a really bad place with everything. This was like in 2020. And I was also noticing that there was a lot of corruption in this world. And I was seeing that a lot of important figureheads in this world clearly worship the devil. And I was raised atheist, you know, like I wasn't a believer at all. And when I started noticing these things, I got to this point where I was like, hold on a minute. If the devil is clearly real, who else is real? And it hit me really hard. And I was like, whoa, I've strayed away from my creator. This is what do I do? And like, I got really, really upset. And a lot of things felt like they were piling on top of me. I was in a really, really bad place. And I stood in my room one day, and I don't know what came over me, but I just felt this urge to call out to him. And I just stood there, and I was in a really bad state. I was crying at the time, and I was desperate, you know. And I just said, I was like, Jesus, like, if you're there, like, I will do whatever you want me to, like, because I'd gone like semi-viral, not majorly, only a little bit, and I thought it was like, oh, this is like, feels like a calling in a way, you know, like I need to use my voice. And so I was like, okay, I feel like you're moving in my life, even though I don't have a relationship with you. Like, I want to give my life to you right now. If you're there, like, please just give me a sign, like that you're communicating with me. And all of a sudden that like anxiety and that depression and that fear that was just engulfing me terribly just turned into, like I mentioned in the trailer, like it was like a wave of just peace, and like this loving feeling just like encompassed me completely. And then my tears turned to happy tears, and I felt this huge weight off my shoulders. And I'm getting emotional because I love him, but because this is how much he moved me.
Yeah.
I knew in that moment that I was never going to be the same, but that it was for the better, and that no matter how dark things might get, I was saved. And somebody loved me in a way that you can't get love in that form in any other way. I knew that missing piece was filled, and it would always be filled. No matter how bad some days got, he loved me.
That's pretty amazing. It really is. I respect you a lot for that. I haven't gotten there yet, but maybe.
Maybe I need to cry every time because, like, it seems. I'm telling you, like, once you feel it,
yeah,
you know, going back.
There is no going back. Like,
yeah,
it's all that. It's life changing.
All that hatred that you've had built up for so long is just completely left you. Yeah.
It starts a new journey, you know, and I had sort of a similar moment, and when Matt and I talked about it, we realized it was right around the same time, and we were both in a bad place, and we were asking for God's help, and we felt this like weight lift off of us, you know, and so now we're just learning from each other how to maintain this relationship, and we lean on prayer really heavily for things, and that those prayers are answered pretty regularly in a way that's undeniable. So we're just doing everything we can to stay on that path, you know, and I think, you know, for some of the stricter believers, they might get a little confused, like, well, aren't you in a homosexual relationship? How does that work? I'm like, God is using us. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus said, here's the thing as well, like Jesus said, all who are weary, come to me. Yeah. He didn't just say some. He said all, and what people forget as well is that we're all fallen. We're told that over and over again. There's no such thing as a perfect human, but all we can do is try, and all we can do is just try and be a great voice for him to, you know, speak about him and glorify him. And I will glorify him to my dying breath, no matter what people think of me, because I know that he's moved in our life. Yeah. We feel it every single day, and
like
we wouldn't be able to do this work without him. I'm such a shy person. Okay, like I wouldn't have even gone on Facebook Live to 2 friends before, and here I am telling my personal story. Like, and it's hard. It is hard, but this is so much bigger than all of us.
Yeah.
When the children are under attack, what are the children? They are the future. If you sterilize the youth, there is no future. And the children don't understand what's happening to them, especially when they're going to school, because they think they're going to school to learn, and they're not. They're being indoctrinated. So, you know, it's down to us as adults to be the voice for the voiceless, no matter how we feel about it personally, no matter how many people call us a bigot or transphobic or a Nazi or whatever else they want to throw at us. It's down to us to say, I don't care what you think, because those children need us. This is bigger than all of us.
Bigger than all of us. And Steve, I'm taking. I say you're Christian also.
Yeah. I would say that. I probably don't fit into any mold very easily, but you can see why it's so easy. Why I fell in love with both like Matt and Jude. Like when they start talking about this stuff, it just pulls me in, and it's just like, all right, we need to share this. These guys are on a mission. We need to take this to the next level. A lot of times it's easy for me to get lost in like the storytelling or whatnot of a film, but like every once in a while I have to take a step back and realize, wait, no, all this stuff actually is happening to them. Like Matt does have to deal with this stuff on a daily basis. Jude has to deal with this stuff on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Sorry. It gets very real, very quick when you come to know these guys. And it's like I said, that's what makes this sorry.
That's all right.
it's what makes this project so awesome to be a part of and to work on. And yeah,
we couldn't ask for a better filmmaker. No. Like we're gonna have a close bond with Steve and his family forever. Like this is a friendship for life. Like God's bringing people together who have the same values and love him. And when you meet people who you can, who you can connect with on this spiritual level, it's something that you just can't explain.
Yeah.
I feel it in your bones, like.
Yeah. I don't know where I would be without, the group of people that I've surrounded myself around the last year and a half. Whether it's a God thing or it's just happened to be. I'm grateful for the people that have really, really, really helped me out through this whole thing. I wanted to bring up the Elon Musk thing, but we were talking about some good stuff, so maybe for another episode we can come on and talk about that. But I think Elon Musk is a key role for saving kids.
Absolutely,
especially because he's dealing with it himself with his own kid. So, let's see.
And if Elon can fall for it, I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah.
Any parent can be duped into this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can dupe Elon, they can dupe anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can dupe anybody.
They play on your emotions. That's the thing. It's emotional blackmail. All of this stuff is labeled as care, as affirming, as they use all these positive words like buzzwords to make you think that, oh, I'm an ally. I'm supporting my child. I'm supporting my friend or whatever position you're in. They make you feel like if you don't think this is a great idea and like a cure to someone's mental, grievances, that you're a bad person. And so nobody wants to be a bad person.
No.
And so they really harness that, and it's not even about whether you're smart enough. They pull on your heartstrings, and that's just, it's pure evil.
It really is. And I don't think my son's mother was 100% on board with this, but I think that doctors, the therapists, the attorneys, and the judge, I think they brainwashed my son's mother to go 100% on board with what's going on with him now. I guess the last thing I really want to do a call to action for parents, because parents are really struggling these days. I guess Matt and Jude, what would your and Steve also, what would your call to action for parents be? I guess that are dealing with, I guess, this new ideology that they're pushing on our kids, and what can they do to help steer them clear of all of that?
I would have to say that they can't be scared to speak up. It's time to take a stand. First, get your facts together, do your research. There's tons of resources on Gays Against Groomers website, on radar.gaysagainstgroomers.com. We have studies, we have articles, anything you could think of you might need. Studies on what these chemicals do to children and how in other ways they're being used. Things that you can gather to bring to your school board meetings, to bring to city council meetings, to call these people out and tell them, either vote for or against a bill that's going to prevent this or not, or move this forward, and bring the facts and use your voice, because we can't afford not to do that. These kids are the future. Without them, we have nothing.
Yeah. Matt?
I would also say to be 10 steps ahead on the school's curriculum, because they're being sneaky about what they're pushing here, and it is accessible to look up what they're going to be teaching. In fact,
sometimes they hide it. They've hidden it from parents.
They have?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen like how they released like the curriculum for the following year and things. Like they do tend to release it because that's how that woman Kim gets it. So like, be ahead of the game. You know, these people want to be sneaky, so make sure you're steps ahead of them. And also get down to all those school boards, you know, listen what's happening, because when our org have gone to these school boards, so many parents are standing up and they're calling these people out. And it's actually horrific, the gaslighting that some of these school board members actually do. But the more parents who are present and back each other up, the more impact there is going to be with this. Also, parents, remember that, you know, you were your child's best friend first. You brought them into this world. They love you. So when they get home from school, ask them what they learned about that day, and you know, talk to them. If they open up to you that they're having like thoughts where they think they could be trans or something like that, be gentle with them about it. You know, like be understanding, because the thing is, gender dysphoria is pretty similar to body dysmorphia. You know, a lot of people suffer from that. Most people suffer from body dysmorphia. Gender dysphoria is just a more mental way where you think you're in the wrong body. So, like, speak to them about it. Be compassionate, because another thing that a lot of these schools are doing, they're trying to get people to be secretive with their parents because their parent is not a safe adult. Well, be that safe adult and explain that, you know, hey, if you feel this way, it's okay, but then explain the risks. Like Jude said, there's lots of resources out there. Pamela, the Truthful Therapist, on her website has amazing resources for parents. She has a book. She has courses to help them with this, how they can get through to their children about, you know, taking this step by step, not medicalizing, why it's not safe for a child to go through this, how children can change their minds. So just be your child's best friend, because that is what you are.
Yeah. Yep. They're your kids, not anybody else's kids.
Yeah, exactly.
They're my kids. Go ahead, Steve, because I want to get to the how to support you guys too. I really want to touch on that also.
Yeah, I don't think I can really add too much more on top of what Matt and Jude said so eloquently, but just on top of that, just like when it comes to your kids and your children, if you don't think that it'll impact you and yours, but it'll impact the others, it will eventually reach them one way or another.
Yeah.
So everything Matt and Jude said, I would follow Matt and Jude. I'd find them on the socials. They're out there. We can mention them. If you go to leavingamy.com. For a lot of people too, I understand it can be difficult to be courageous. You do need to be a warrior. You do need to do all those things. But what you can also do is you can get behind other warriors like Matt and Jude, who are literally out there on the front lines of this. So even if you can't, or you don't think you have the opportunity yourself, the other way you can help is get behind these guys and help us with the film. So
yeah. And my call to action that I always say is bring back the dinner table. I learned so much when, as much as I hated to have to come home at 5 o'clock, as much as I hated to have to hear my dad's whistle from 2 or 3 blocks away at 5 o'clock, I knew it was time to come home. And now that I'm older, and I guess wiser, some people would say not, but wiser, I look back at that. That was a time that I could sit down there and learn about my parents, and my parents can learn about what was going on in my brother's life and in my life. And I think that you get rid of the phone and you can learn so much about your kids' lives if you just sit down at the dinner table, whether it's for a half hour, 45 minutes, and you could really, really, really learn a lot about your kids. So bring back the dinner table. I think we've lost that. I think it's all been by design that they've made it so difficult for parents to have dinner with their kids. But, let's bring back the dinner table. So how can everybody support you guys?
So you can go to the film's website, which is leavingamy.com, and click the support button. It will send you to the Give, Send, Go.
We're pulling that up right now for you guys on the screen.
Anyone who donates to the film and leaves their first and last name will be added to the film's end credits, which is really awesome. We've also just launched a merch line. We have an amazing raffle that's going to be launching soon, where you can win some amazing donated items from Sherry Curry of The Runaways, who's our executive producer. The raffle has some really awesome prizes. She's has some artistic skills. She's painted some microphones. She's carving a bear with the chainsaw. She signed some pictures, so that'll be really nice incentives. On the merch store, we have hoodies, we have hats, t-shirts, mugs. So yeah, any way you want to support like that, we are so grateful. Every donation and every merch purchase helps us bring this film to completion. We still have a few interviews we need to rock out, and
yeah, we're still working on it.
We're aiming for a December release, but yeah, every person who is moved by this film and donates, because it is a grassroots project. This isn't a Hollywood production. We are so thankful for you, and every little counts. Even if you just donate $5, it adds up, and we are thankful for everybody.
Yeah. It looks like a Hollywood production. Steve.
That's Steve. He's amazing.
You work with beautiful people, and it just, it makes it easy. So
that's right. How can people follow you, Steve? And yeah, how can people follow you and support you?
I am a real behind the scenes type of person, but you can find me just if you type in Steve Rey Sorensen, Rey Sorensen, I'll pop up anywhere. Sacred Honor Media. Usually there. I would really push to get behind like Matt and Jude, who are constant, Gays Against Groomers, who are doing so much good, who will give you that daily content, that daily boost.
Yeah. Well, I would love. I want to do another episode with you guys.
Oh yeah.
I want to get maybe the next episode we can get more into your line of support. Your guys' support groups. And that kind of stuff. I think dealing with this type of stuff, you need a real good, strong. I can see your partner, you're really good, strong support there. But get more into that and that kind of stuff. So, Matt, Jude, Steve, I appreciate you. You guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in person instead of on camera. That's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
And Matt, I'm going to pick your brain heavily when I see you on the 8th. So I hope you don't mind.
Go easy on me. That's my birthday, just a little.
Oh, that's your birthday. Okay. Well, I'll buy
But still, pick my brain. I do like it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, guys. Again, I'm grateful. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to be pushing the heck out of this film, and then maybe we can do it again closer to the release date. Thank you again for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and then I'll give you guys a call here in a little bit.
Right on.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Oh, no, I'm good. I haven't got that professional yet on the outro.
Oh, you rocked it.
That was so good.